Well, I've seen the entire first season of the Pendragon cycle, The Rise of Merlin, on the Daily Wire. Now, this is a project that Jeremy Boring, who was the former God King of the Daily Wire, but making movies is what he really always wanted to do. And in this case, a rather big budget TV series. This could easily fit on HBO Max or Netflix. And there's a lot of great quality to it. What he's able to pull off is very impressive. There's a lot of mysticism in it, in the scenes there. Maybe a little too brief, because there's some really cool moments in there of what is unfolding and what's at play. But ultimately, I did not read the books, so I'm coming at it fresh and new. People who have read the books will have a different take. It is always the case. If it's not loyal enough to it or something of that nature, this can happen. Other times, it's like you appreciate it for what it is, and hopefully that's the case. I was impressed with it. I enjoyed it. It gets better as it goes. Now, the opening parts is giving you this sort of detailed origin, ultimately, of Merlin. This strays from the lore of King Arthur that I'm familiar with. I think the original tale was Merlin was potentially the son of an incubus. And well, that explains the supernatural powers and whatnot. But in this one, involves other mythical elements. Or maybe it was true, this type of thing. But I don't want to just give away everything. But there's some interesting takes, and I assume this is what the take the book did to explain a lot and to give a more developed background, even though there's still a lot of mystery to it, which is appropriate. It's Merlin. But you meet his father and his mother and how they come together and that sort of thing. And there's mystery there and how that plays out and where his mother comes from and her people and stuff. So I'll just leave it at that. But it's all good. The only thing that at the time, it takes 2 episodes for them to flesh out this story of the parents before you get to Merlin. And you only got 7. So I was, seems like, I don't know, you could have trimmed that down. I wasn't sure if it was really necessary to stretch it out like that. Now I could be wrong. Maybe putting it on, I think, this is too quick, and it's not really hitting the punch or what have you. But nevertheless, and then the 2 episodes, and then suddenly, oh my God, it's that kind of thing. And then you're on to Merlin's, it's Merlin's show after that. And on all the fantastical nature of him and his struggles. And ultimately the core of it, a lot of it is tragedy. And it's all very sad in a lot of ways. But ultimately it's the struggle, good versus evil, and the temptations of power. And you see elements of that, and certainly the power of Merlin is extraordinary. But it's so very easy to abuse it. And this is the struggle that goes through. And of course, that's typical of myth and lore like that. I mean, Star Wars and Luke, can he resist the dark side and stuff like that. And the hero's journey and where he goes and the struggles. And you see that from when Merlin's a little boy to when he's younger. He has a great moment of happiness, and then, and all these things that he has to overcome to become this wise, wizard who can foresee the future and is guiding the fate of Britain. He's trying to unite Britain, and they're looking for the king to be the king of them all. There's kings here and there. They're largely, a lot of the Arthurian legend is believed to have come from, the real tribes and wars that happened between them in the early days in the post-Roman era of the island that became Britain. And, you know, I think there's like 2 different possible candidates that Arthur could have been based upon, but they were probably more likely chieftains and stuff like that than kings. I mean, and all the fantastic nature of the story, there's, castles and knights and all that sort of stuff, which is actually something that came around much later. But it looks cool, so you go with it. But here, it's going on its own way. It's giving more explanation, and of course, when it's left open like that, it's up to you. There's been I think there was a previous series about young Merlin and so on, and in some iterations, Merlin, he kind of strays a little too much in the dark side and whatnot. But ultimately, it brings about, Arthur, who becomes the one true king of Britain. And there you go. Well, not there yet, as he's seeking this out. And it introduces you to Merlin. It explains him, gets him in his position, and to the men and the guys that he's looking to be the king. He settles on one, and they go forward with that. And then there's a couple episodes. There's one episode in particular that it's a flashback, and it's detailing a pivotal moment in Merlin and what happened to him and all that. There's clues to it leading up to it, and then you see what happened and what happens if he abuses the power and why he struggles to rein it in and to not give in to it just for any old thing, and it's certainly not with what he did. You can certainly understand why he did what he did. Just anybody would, but it's the problem is the power becomes all consuming, and there's temptations in it. There's creepy temptations. It's really creepy on a classic character. This is a bit of, from what I'm familiar with, a very different take or backstory to this particular villain going forward. But it works certainly within the narrative of the series, and I assume that's how the books did it as well. I could be wrong, but this is how it plays out. Some of it I kind of, because I'm all for it and I'm getting into it and I enjoyed it, but I kind of wondered, what am I going to, if everybody going to have the same reaction I did and stuff like that. I thought maybe it got a little slow here and there. You finally, of course, the final episode is much longer than the others, but it's the finale, and you get to a full-on battle that takes place, and then you get another vision from Merlin about what the future beholds, and the visuals are instantly recognizable from the Arthurian legends. So I really enjoyed it, and I do recommend the series. I hope it gets a season 2. I'm not sure that'll happen. If not enough people tune into it, then Daily Wire can't really justify putting money into it, because I imagine this cost an awful lot. There's a lot more than some of the documentaries and stuff they do. They've done, fiction films. They, Terror on the Prairie, which I really liked. I highly recommend that. It's not just because, I'm biased toward Gina Carano, but this is probably her best performance in that movie. It was really good. So they got quite a few on there, and I appreciate them pursuing it and having an entity outside of Hollywood, which seems to determine to destroy itself if it hasn't already. So I don't know, maybe some sugar daddies can show up and fund another one. I would hope something of that nature could happen, because now I want to see the rest of it. The actors are very good. They do very well. The guy playing Merlin is really impressive. And it's just, not enough episodes. Now, I know I said, hey, the first 2 episodes could have been made into one. Yeah, but that's a minor quibble. But once it gets going and running, you really don't want it to end. But it does. So hopefully it gets another shot. I would hope that happens. And if I convince you to give it a shot and look at it, I don't know going forward what kind of production company Daily Wire wants to be. I understand the initial business of it is that conservatives and the like are mostly blacklisted from the mainstream. It's very difficult for them to get a project going, and they were going to provide a platform for that. But these things are expensive, and it was some of these shows. You might want to offer them to be licensed out. I mean, they're exclusive to Daily Wire for a time. In the old days with physical media, this would be a no-brainer. You would just sell the Blu-rays, But people still make those somewhere. You might want to consider that. I don't know. But it's got to have some amount of income to it. I don't know that if merchandising is a potential here. Anybody wants some Merlin action figures, or at least a T-shirt. But beyond that, it's an uphill battle. And for something, this is probably the biggest thing they've done. And especially as a series, rather than a 2-hour movie. So, I hate to say it, but it's a reality that you just have to contend with. But quality wise and interest, I think it deserves a follow-up. But I don't have the money to pay for that. So, I can pay for the subscription, and I do. But, beyond that, that's probably the best I can do. So, if you're interested and curious, and especially if you love, the genre of fantasy and what, take a look at it. I mean, and if you want to cancel subscription after it's all you're interested in, well, that's your business. But it would certainly go a long way of, people really want to see more of this, So there you go. A great first season. Hope there can be more. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I do recommend the Pendragon cycle, The Rise of the Merlin.